As a content creator and a political commentator in general, I would be remiss if I did not share with you, my audience, my observations about the second GOP debate that took place in California on Wednesday night. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'll give you my thoughts, and believe me, I've got plenty to say about this steaming pile of elephant excrement. Hang on, folks, I'm going to tell you everything that's on my mind here in just 1 second. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. Step on up to my electronic front porch and let's talk. Now, as viewers of this channel know, I made the decision not to cover the GOP debate that took place in California on Wednesday night. Instead, myself, Cam from Flagrant Triggers, Brentley from the Dangerous Rhetoric podcast, Tracy from Keto and Crime, and Ruben Christopher Haynes covered Donald Trump's speech to the UAW in Detroit, Michigan. Now, the reason that I had made the decision as the content creator of this channel not to cover the GOP debate is if given my choice, I'd rather hear a substantive discussion of issues which Donald Trump was able, for the most part, to provide. Albeit I've got some criticisms of the speech, so did my colleagues who are watching it with me, but on the whole, it was a good, productive night. The same cannot be said about the GOP debate that took place in California. From everything that I have seen and read so far, it was an unmitigated disaster on so many different levels. It was just exactly what I thought it was going to be, a verbal food fight. A person's given 30 seconds to make a statement, another person's given 20 seconds to respond, and then there's bickering back and forth. How can you have an honest discussion of the issues, delve into them with depth and with thoughtfulness if all you're doing is trying to play to the next soundbite? Want some proof of what I'm talking about? Take a look at this. This is a little bit of a snippet from what it was like in California the other night. Ladies and gentlemen, take a listen to this.
Thank you. The next question is for Governor DeSantis.
If we want to get things done, here's how we get it done in Washington. We must find a
Can we please respect the time?
And on it went like this all night long, ladies and gentlemen, in one form or another, just bickering back and forth, sniping, shots being taken, etc., and so on. But there were distinguished individual performances, and I give the award for How Can I Best Help My Political Enemy to Governor Ron DeSantis. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, take a look at the ad that Joe Biden put together on the basis of comments that Ron DeSantis made during the GOP debate. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this.
And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Well, thanks a lot, Governor DeSantis. You didn't exactly do anybody any favors with that little stunt. If anything, you've helped out Joe Biden, and you've given him an argument to cudgel the inevitable GOP nominee, regardless of whether it's Trump, which he'll probably use most effectively against him, or someone else. Now, I say use most effectively in that the effectiveness of it will be that he beats him over the head. Whether it has any truth to it or not is sort of irrelevant, which, by the way, you might have thought of that before you were stupid enough to let go that comment, you dimwit. But I digress. Anyway, there were other individual performances of note. For example, Vivek Ramaswamy, which I've got my reservations about Vivek Ramaswamy, mostly because, well, okay, he talks a good game, but how do I know you're going to do what you say you will? But he did get off one very interesting comment last night on a subject of children and transgenderism. I do want to play this because I think it's worth noting. Folks, take a listen to this.
I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. And I'm sorry, it is not compassionate to affirm a kid's confusion. That is not compassion, that is cruelty. So I will ban genital mutilation or chemical castration under the age of 18. I have to.
Very interesting stance. Very interesting take on the whole situation, which, by the way, I don't necessarily disagree with him. I think that's definitely a position worth having. Now, the award for the most notable attempted throwing of shade goes to former Governor Christie. As you know, Donald Trump made the decision not to attend the first debate. He made the decision not to attend the second debate. Now, the merits of that will be debated for time going forward. From my part at this point, I think it was the smartest thing you could ever possibly do. When you're 40 to 45 points ahead of the field nationally, and you're 20 to 30 points ahead in each primary and caucus state so far, according to the polling, why wade into the middle of a verbal food fight? But the fact that Trump was not there has not gone unnoticed, especially to Governor Christie. Folks, take a listen to what may be remembered as the attempted zinger of the night. This one's pretty good, at least as far as the attempt. The effectiveness and how well it's going to work, well, remains to be seen.
You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
All right.
Oh, my mother of God, deliver us. We live in an age of sound bites. That was an attempted soundbite. It landed about as well as the Hindenburg. Terrible. Oh my God. Very reminiscent of former Governor Scott Walker's "We don't need an apprentice in the White House" line back in 2016, which ironically enough was also uttered at the Reagan Library. But on and on it went all night long. And as a matter of fact, not to be outdone by her male competitors for the GOP nomination, former Governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, chimed in. Now, I want to set the stage for this. Vivek Ramaswamy was giving a comment as it related to TikTok and social media for children. And apparently, her comment did not set well with Governor Haley, as she, throughout the evening, on whatever point Vivek Ramaswamy brought up, she was just bashing him for all she was worth, which is probably a sign of how well he's doing compared to his fellow second-tier nominees. So she sort of made it a point to just absolutely try to beat the crap out of him verbally all night long. And what I'm going to play you next is a perfect example of that. So that sets up what happens. Folks, take a listen to the eloquence of the former governor of the state of South Carolina.
There's one person on this.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say because I can't believe that here you've got a TikTok situation. What they're doing is these 150 million people are on TikTok. That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can get text messages, they can get all of these things.
This is very important for our
exactly
party.
What they're doing.
This is very important for our party, and I'm going to say
you've gone and you've helped China make medicines in China, not America. You're now wanting kids to go and get on the.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This isn't a debate, it's a verbal food fight. That's all they're doing with each other, is just bickering back and forth. I feel a little dumber every time you talk. Well, that's all right, Governor Haley. I haven't even got words to describe what I think of her mental acumen. Which keep in mind, if I'm talking to her about what I think of her mental acumen, it'll have to be a 1 or 2 syllable words. Anything past that, I don't think she'd understand, but be that as it may. So we go on and on and on. So what's the upshot of all this? They are out there for 2 hours talking at the Reagan Library. And how well was this debate received? Well, The proof is in the pudding, as they say, and this pudding is very sour. Take a look at this. From the conservativetreehouse.com, headline, Nielsen ratings show 27% drop in audience for second GOP first loser debate. Oh, good Lord. People were wondering how many people tuned into Fox Business RNC debate, the second GOP primary debate without Donald Trump. The answers are in per an NBC review of the Nielsen ratings. Approximately 9.3 million people tuned in to watch the debate on Fox, Fox Business, and Univision. That is a 27% drop from the first debate, which had 12.8 million viewers. I mean, there was a significant worry on the part of Fox News and Fox Business and Univision that fewer people would watch this debate since Donald Trump was not going to be there. And boy, let me tell you, those fears turned out to be true. I think there's a lot of reasons why people didn't bother to tune into this debate. And I think legitimately, Donald Trump not being there is one of them. Okay, let's be honest. Like him, don't like him. Agree with him, don't agree with him. Like his policies, hate his policies. Donald Trump is guaranteed good TV ratings. Why? Because he can put on a show. Now, you can probably make an argument somewhat legitimately that, if you're in the business of politics, putting on a show shouldn't be your primary concern. And all right, to a certain extent, I can understand that argument. But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to get attention in this day and age of short attention spans, you've got to do things that attract people's attention. And Donald Trump is an undisputed master at being able to draw people in and make them watch. The fact that he's not there helped take the ratings straight on down. I'll also argue that the behavior of the other GOP candidates toward each other didn't help matters either. I mean, let's be honest. Let's say that you're a Republican voter. Obviously, you've got opinions about things, but you want to know where other people stand. You're trying to get a feel of who you ought to give your vote for, or vote to. So you tune into this thing and all it's back and forth and back and forth. And like I said, 30-second answers, 20-second rebuttals, sniping back and forth. If you're a viewer, how can you really learn anything about these people? So finally, just take the TV remote and go click, and that solves your problem. So Trump's absence, the behavior of the GOP candidates themselves, and frankly, I'll make an argument that Fox News is losing its luster with conservative viewers. But that's just my opinion. I could be dead wrong about that. So what was the reaction to all this sniping, bickering, meandering, and intellectual goop? Well, it wasn't good. Let's put it that way. Take a look at this. This is from our friend Benny Johnson, which, by the way, Benny, I'm waiting for the phone call to come on the show, baby. Just saying. Anyway, here's Benny's take on the whole thing. Last night, the RNC tapped Univision, a channel whose mandate is to be a more brainwashed version of MSNBC in Spanish. I love that line. To co-moderate the GOP debate. Here are Secret Service logs showing their moderator, Ilia Calderon, making multiple visits to the White House. 3 times in 8 months, actually. Once alone with Joe Biden. Ew, you poor thing. And twice with Joe Biden's propaganda czar and chief of staff of the White House press corps. Their Fox moderators even openly called Hillary Clinton an amazing just days before while embracing her on stage at a Clinton Foundation event. That was Dana Perino, by the way. Either the RNC didn't bother to do basic research or they purposefully rigged their debate against their own candidates and viewers. The RNC is an absolute disgrace. Well, that's not exactly the kindest review this thing could have gotten, but we go on. Glenn Beck. I have officially given up on this stupid Fox debate. Hashtag shut up. This is the worst debate I have seen in my lifetime. Why does the GOP keep going to the networks? Only winner? Trump, because he's not anywhere near this. Hashtag Fox failure. And one more reaction to this, and I think this one's pretty good. Megyn Kelly was on her podcast with a couple of guests, and I love her take on this whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, take a listen to this.
Hot mess. I have to say, I didn't enjoy it. I said yesterday, this is a good thing because it's Republicans getting their ideas out there. That's probably better for the GOP, like reinforce the positions that they hold. when it comes to the border, when it comes to the economy, that could work to their benefit as we go into the general. No, I take it all back. They were sniping, they were small ball, they were petty. The moderators were a disaster. I don't think it was a good night for the Republican Party. It could have been, it just wasn't. And I think overall it was a fail.
Well, Megan, my dear, don't hold back. Tell us what you really think of the whole thing. But lest you think that it was the pundits who had their opinions about the matter, no, GOP voters did have something to say about who they thought did very well in that debate. Now, the reaction to this is actually going to surprise you. Let me play you a snippet from Fox and Friends in the morning. They sent a reporter up to a diner in New Hampshire, and this is a pretty interesting reaction. I'm going to play a few seconds of this. Folks, take a listen to this.
Family, you're looking at the beautiful people at Copper's Door in Bedford, New Hampshire. Sir, what did you think about last night's debate? Who won?
I don't think there was an actual winner. I like what DeSantis had to say, Ramaswamy, and I didn't like the bickering. And in fact, I changed the channel when that was happening. Yeah.
See what I mean, folks?
So, to be determined, I guess.
It turned you all.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Ma'am, who won last night?
Trump won.
Trump won.
He's my guy.
Okay. Ma'am, who won last night for you?
Trump won.
Why?
Because he's been there. He's proven himself. He has changed this economy. He has changed the United States, and we need him back to change it back to the better.
Wow.
Woo!
Wow. A lot of people agree with that. Who won?
I agree. I don't think really anyone won last night. I think that Vivek was the only one that pointed out that they were really all on the same page, but they kept taking cheap shots at each other, which was like, he said I was...
You didn't like that?
Yeah, it was silly, like the drapes, the Nikki Haley, Tim Scott pointed out, and then Nikki Haley going after Vivek saying, you know, every time he opens his mouth, she feels dumber. I felt that was a cheap shot.
You didn't like that?
No.
See what I mean, folks? They're turning off voters, and they're turning them to Trump. Trump doesn't show up for this thing, and you got two people at this diner that are saying, yeah, he wound up being the winner of this thing, just by virtue of the fact that he wasn't there. A lot of people gave Trump grief about not going to these debates, but so far at this point, it looks like it may be working for him. And if you need some proof of that, let me show you something real fast. This is interesting. Take a look at this. This is from the New York Post. Trump still favorite after skipping GOP debate despite fraud charges, according to a new poll. Headlined by Catherine Donlevy. Former President Donald Trump is still the top pick for the Republican presidential ticket despite skipping Wednesday's primary debate, according to a poll commissioned exclusively for the Post. The post-debate survey of 1,303 people conducted by Leaguer and was released found 62% of GOP voters want the 77-year-old ex-commander-in-chief emerge as the party's candidate. The results also come just days after a Manhattan judge on Tuesday found Trump committed fraud by exaggerating the value of his wealth and canceled his New York business licenses. Unbelievable. The man doesn't even show up for the debate, and his poll numbers are still going up. Now, lest you think that that's just biased reporting by one newspaper in America, take a look at this. This is from the UK Daily Mail. Headline: Donald Trump declared winner of second Republican debate in Daily Mail poll, even though he stayed away. Some 27% of GOP viewers said Donald Trump won the second debate. Absolutely amazing. And just to give you an idea of how well things are going for Trump, well, he's about ready to make everybody mad once again inside the Republican Party. Take a look at this. Headline from the New York Post: Trump will duck third GOP debate even after previous no-shows got him the Donald Duck nickname. Article by Victor Nava and Melissa Koenig. Former President Donald Trump will skip the third Republican presidential debate in November, even after being nicknamed Donald Duck for ducking out of the previous two, the Post has confirmed. Trump will again fail to appear on stage with his GOP rivals for the debate in Miami on November the 8th, one day after several states hold their primaries. Sources confirmed to the Post. The decision comes after his rivals lambasted the 77-year-old at the second GOP debate at the Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California, Wednesday night. with former New Jersey Governor Christie calling Trump out Donald Duck, and former Governor Ron DeSantis called him out for, quote, missing in action. Ladies and gentlemen, they've now had 2 debates. And in these 2 debates, they are debating against the man who's not there. They're taking their best shots at him for what it's worth. And believe me, if that's their best, boy. Anyway, they've done everything they can to put a dent into this man's armor, and it's not working. We are almost to the month of October, which means that we are 3.5 months away from the Iowa caucuses. And it doesn't matter what poll you look at, it doesn't matter who you talk to, everybody is becoming convinced that we are headed for a fait accompli. Donald Trump will steamroll to the Republican nomination. Now, that said, one last comment. One of Trump's former competitors from back in 2016 gave a piece of advice to the current crop of GOP candidates, and we'll wrap it up on this. A tweet from former Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin. 8 years ago, I stood on the debate stage at the Reagan Library and Museum. A week later, I got out because it was clear that the Trump train had left the station. The rest of the 2024 GOP field may soon have to make that same decision. So far, none of them have made a convincing case to Trump supporters to change their vote. It's make or break time. And Scott Walker is absolutely right. 3.5 months to go to the Iowa caucuses. Poll numbers that put him anywhere in the high 50s to low 60s. 25 to 30 points ahead in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, etc., and so on. Either somebody in that pack of second-tier candidates makes a move to finally slow down Trump and take him down a notch, or it's time for people to start getting out. Look, if someone wants to declare to run for president, perfectly fine. It's a free country. Go ahead and do it. If you think you got the ideas and the vision to make this country better, jump in the race. I say go for it. But there comes a point where after months of campaigning, millions of dollars of TV ads, that you realize and say, this is not my time. And I think for a lot of people, time's running out, or it has already run out. But that's what I think about it all. What do you think? As we start to wrap up this video, please do me some favors as always. Number 1, if you are not a subscriber to this channel, please do so. Number 2, please leave a comment below. I would love to know what you think about all this. Number 3, please hit the bell for notifications. I want to make sure that you're always aware when new material is coming out on this channel. Number 4, share the video around. And finally, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative, and I'll see you next time.